I'll anticipate that gold is going to continue bullish next week, so I'm just going to put a simple zone around here. I would like to see price break above 3,658.889 area. Let it break it significantly, then catch it on the pullback before price continues trading to the upside. Welcome back, guys. You can see that in my last analysis, even if I didn't release a video last week, the last 2 weeks analysis has been playing out perfectly fine. So you can see how price broke out of the 3,658 area and then came back for the pullback before taking off. All right, so going into next week, what do we expect? All right, I have a new zone above here. Two things I'm going to want to do is, first of all, I'll go to the weekly time frame. I want to see how we closed for last week. It's clear for the past few weeks price has been super bullish on gold. Let's look at what is happening on the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we can see price kind of moving sideways. So if that's the beginning of a pullback, then I would like to see the pullback come into these two areas of 3,700.133 and 3,694.537 before price continues higher. Now let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, it's the same. Remember, from the daily time frame, I said I would like to see price pull back into 3,700 and 3,694 area before taking off. All right, so that remains the same. However, gold is super bullish and price may not come for that deeper pullback. So if price continues higher from where it is right now, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to create a zone around here. So now that we have this zone, if price just continues higher from where it is, then I'll advise you wait for price to break out of 3,789.855 area. You want to catch it on the pullback, stop loss below 3,783.615, and then you want to go for your nice 2-to-1 or whatever risk to reward you use. I prefer 2-to-1. However, if price continues lower, does that mean we shouldn't sell into the buy area below? Where do you look for that buy? I'll just put one line here. So if price breaks below 3,733.343, you can switch over to a much lower time frame, like the 15 minutes time frame. After the breakout, catch it on the pullback and sell into 3,700, and that's where we want to continue the bullish move from. So you just see I've broken down the different scenarios. All you just need to do is to sit on your hands and watch them play out to be able to take action on these trade ideas. All right, so that is that on gold. Pardon my too many lines there, you get the point. All right, so the next on my list is DXY. So as you can see, a few months ago I've identified this trend line below as my support area where DXY is most likely going to stall and probably take off from. All right, and that is still in play. You can see the trend line below, one touch, second touch, this is the third touch, and you can see that price is taking its time just like it has done in the past. When price bounced off here, at that point, of course, it is not a valid trend line, but you can see how price stalled for a couple of months before it took off. The same thing happened around here. Remember, we're on the monthly time frame, so each of these candlesticks represent 1 month of price action. You can see how price stalled for a couple of months before taking off. The same thing is happening here. We are here for this 4th month now, right? This is the first month with the first red candle that came into that zone, then second month, which is the bullish engulfing candle, third month bearish candle, fourth month you can see the bullish candle. This has happened in the past. All right, so yeah, it takes time for price to move, but it is what it is. Let's go to the weekly time frame. We can clearly see that last week price formed a dodgy candlestick around that zone, and then the subsequent week, which was last week that I didn't conduct an analysis, price continued higher. I mean, if you've been following me for the longest and you've watched this video at the top corner of this video right now, which is the dodgy candlestick strategy, you would have known what to do, whether I came here for the weekly analysis or not. All right, so but anyways, price, I'm expecting to see price continue going into next week. Now let's go to the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, price from that trend line is beginning to give us bullish price action, creating highs, higher lows, higher high. So I'll be expecting a pullback into this region for a new higher low before price continues higher. Remember, next week we have NFP and all of those stuff, so we can see, we may observe an initial bearish push to the downside, then NFP may most likely bounce price to the upside, which is what I would like to see for now, going with the bullish momentum that is kicking into the market right now. So where I'm expecting that pullback to come into is around these regions of 97.800 and 97.619 before price continues higher. So if price continues higher from that point, my bullish target is here, which is 99.134. All right, so that is that on DXY. The next on my list is USD JPY. So going into next week, I'll still be expecting a continuous drop to the downside. So for bullish price action, if for whatever reason price decides to blast to the upside next week, then you have to be patient for price to break above 148.741. Catch it on the pullback. Stop loss below 148.403. My bullish target is all the way up here at 150.730. Welcome back, guys. On USD JPY, during my last analysis, remember I did not conduct an analysis last week, all right? But in the last analysis, I wanted to see price continue trading lower, which happened. Then price came into this strong support level and took off and still broke out of this zone, gave us that pullback for the bullish scenario, and then continued higher. All right, so going into next week, guys, and before I talk about what I'm expecting next week, the signal, monthly signal for October is kicking off on Monday. All right, of course, signal will become active on Wednesday, being the 1st of October, but you can start signing up, and yeah, that's that. So let's go back to the analysis. I would like to, going into next week, first of all, let's look at the weekly time frame. There's something interesting happening on the weekly time frame now. After a long period of choppy movement around here, right, as you can see, price has eventually broken above that weekly resistance that we had around here. So going into next week, I am super bullish. All right, so all I want to see happen is a pullback into this region of 148.741 and 148.403. Then my next target, bullish target, is 150.730. Now let's go to the 4-hour time frame to break things down. So on the 4-hour time frame, meanwhile, let me delete most of these lines here since they fulfill their purpose. So we have this area of value here that price has struggled to break above previously. Now that has successfully happened, right? So going into next week, I would like to see price pull back into these regions of 148.741 and 148.403 before taking off. However, I have a line here that is not quite visible. Let me make it more visible around here. So I have a line here that price may actually pull back into, all right, which is around 149.139 before taking off. So it may decide to bounce off this region here. All right, so you need to watch out for that. Now is your choice to pick which area to buy from. Now, if you don't mind taking an initial loss, then if price gives you an entry around 149.139, take it. All right, if you hit stop loss, you know the last line of defense, which is here, because if price breaks below 148.403, then that would mean that price may continue trading to 146.623. all right, but going into next week, I am more bullish. I'm expecting the bullish scenario to play out, and that is that on USD JPY. The next on my list is EURUSD. So if you are not in this trade yet, I would recommend you wait for price to properly break out of this green line above here, which is 1.17396. You want to catch it on the pullback. Stop loss below 1.17250, and then your bullish target is all the way up here, which is 1.1863. Welcome back, guys. You can see EURUSD during my last analysis broke out of the 1.17396 area and continued higher. All right, let's say it didn't give that decent pullback that you're looking for. Price eventually came back for that pullback and eventually traded into the target of 1.1863. So it still played out, right? Before price sold off from there. All right, so going into next week, what do we expect? Once again, before I continue with next week's analysis, our signal is kicking off next week. So if you want to participate, the link is going to be in the pinned comment down below and in the description of this video down below. So you can click and take your spot, book your spot. All right, so that said, let's go back to the analysis. Now, Euro USD, the analysis is simple. First of all, I want to look at the weekly time frame. So if you look at the weekly time frame, or let's go to the monthly time frame, just like DXY, price is bouncing off this monthly resistance here. Remember, on DXY it is a support. So if price goes bullish, that means DXY is strong, right? So, and if DXY is strong, that means USD is strong. You get the point. So for Euro USD, for the fact that price is bouncing off an area of resistance, so that means price USD is most likely going to be strong. And well, that's not a fact yet until it happens, but that's the idea at this particular point in time. All right, so if we go to the weekly time frame, last week we closed with a bearish engulfing candle. So I would like to see price continue trading lower, and if price continues trading lower, my first target is going to be 1.15237. okay, so let's go to the daily time frame to see what's happening. The daily time frame, price just broke out an area of previous supports, and you can see bearish market structure beginning to play out: low, lower high, new lower low. So I'd like to see a sell-off from this region down to the downside. You get the point. All right, let me delete that. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, guys, I'm going to delete this particular zone. Or let me put it back. All right, so going into next week, guys, I would like to see price pull back into these areas of 1.17396 and 1.17250 before we now sell off to this area being our first target, which is 1.16808. Then the overall target for now will be 1.16302. All right, so yes, I'm mostly bearish going into next week on Euro USD. And if price fails to come into this higher region for the pullback before the sell-off, and for whatever reason price just continues trading lower from here, then wait for price to break below 1.16738, catch it on the pullback, stop loss above 1.16808, then you want to sell. So your bearish target in this case is going to be 1.15937. all right, so that is that on Euro USD. The last on my list for this week is GBP USD. Price to continue higher from where it is right now and properly break out of 1.35858, then want to catch it on the pullback, stop loss below 1.35765. Then bullish target, my first bullish target is here being 1.36801. Welcome back, guys. So you can see how GBP USD during my last analysis broke above the 1.35858 area, came back for the pullback, and then took off into my first target of 1.36801 before the bearish momentum kicked in. All right, so going into next week, what do I expect on GBP USD? Now, GBP USD in this case looks like the pullback is complete. However, if price follows, if the price movement of GBP USD follows DXY, then our main pullback area will be around here. Okay, number one, I said it looks like the original pullback is complete here. Sorry. And if price continues lower, our overall target, bearish target, is 1.31057. However, if price wants to go for a deeper pullback, just like Euro USD and DXY, then this will be the ideal pullback area, which is once again 1.34418, stop loss above 1.34600, then I would like to see a sell-off from there into 1.31057. So if you're even selling from here, I would advise that your stop loss will be too wide. And if you don't want it to be too wide, then probably let's observe what happens. If you see that price is bouncing off here, then you can go with this first sell area. But if you see that price goes for a deeper pullback, this will be the ideal area to sell from above here. All right, so that is that. Thanks for staying to the end of this video. Once again, you can join our monthly subscription using the link in the description below. And if you want to sign up for any of our mentorship programs, you can also use the link in the description and the pinned comments down below. I wish you a successful trading week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.